everyone please settle down? Can we once again do the corporate class, please? Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. Sangachadvam, Samvadadvam, Samva Manasi Janatam, Deva Bhagam, Yathapurve, Samjananam, Upasate.
Meaning, move together, speak together, and let your minds be in harmony. United effort leads to shared success. A powerful Vedic message of unity and shared intellectual pursuit, so apt for this day we are witnessing together. Honored dignitaries on the dais, respected delegates, distinguished academicians, researchers, industry experts, and dear participants from India and across the globe. I, student manager Vasundhara Shinde from Balaji Institute of Modern Management,
And I, student manager Harshvardhan from Balaji Institute of Technology and Management,
warmly welcome
all of you to this international conference today. Today marks a truly significant occasion as we come together for this international conference, a conference of global
scholarship, innovation, and intellectual exchange. This conference is jointly organized by Sri Balaji University, Pune, and the Society of Indian Academics in America, SIAA, two institutions committed to academic excellence, global collaboration, and knowledge exchange.
Before we start today's event, I would request all of you to kindly rise for the national anthem. Thank you.
As we gather today for this prestigious SBUP SIAA International Conference, we seek the blessings of the Almighty for a successful and enlightening event. To mark the auspicious beginning of our event, we would like to invoke the divine blessings of knowledge and wisdom by lighting the ceremonial lamp.
We request our esteemed dignitaries on the dais to kindly come forward and light the lamp, symbolizing the dispelling of darkness and the ushering in of wisdom.
अध्यक्षाय धीमहि गुणशरीराय गुणमण्डिताय गुणेशानाय धीमहि गुणाधीशाय गुणप्रतिष्ठाय धीमहि प्रसन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि
May this light guide us to an enriching and successful journey of learning and growth today. Thank you so much. To all our esteemed dignitaries from the United States of America and participants from across India, allow me to take a moment to introduce the vibrant academic universe that is Sri Balaji University Pune, SBUP. SBUP comprises four premier management institutions: Balaji Institute of Management, Balaji Institute of Technology and Management, BITM, Balaji Institute of International Business, BIIB, Institute of Development and sorry, Balaji Institute of Management and Human Resource Development, BMHRD. Additionally, Sri Balaji University encompasses the School of Commerce and Management, School of Computer Sciences, School of Humanities and Social Sciences, School of Liberal Arts, Balaji School of Law, School of Actuarial Sciences, Balaji School of Media, Communication and Journalism, and the Balaji School of Online and Digital Learning. Beyond these, we also have the Balaji Law College at undergraduate and graduate levels, the Balaji College of Arts, Commerce and Science, and the Balaji Junior College of Arts, Commerce and Science. Each of these institutions is a testament to our commitment to academic excellence and holistic education. According to Times B School rankings of 2025, Sri Balaji University is ranked 10th among the top 100 B schools in India, second among top 36 private universities, fourth in Western India, 12th in placements across all institutes. With over 300 reputed companies, With over 300 reputed companies participating in our campus placements each year, we take immense pride in our strong and growing corporate network. SBUP Foundation rests on three powerful pillars of discipline, dedication, and determination, as envisioned by our revered founder chancellor, late Professor Dr. Colonel A. Balasubramaniam Sir. His philosophy continues to shape the spirit and direction of our university.
Let me now introduce our esteemed collaborating partner, the Society of Indian Academics in America. SIAA is a distinguished not for profit organization established in 1988 and registered as a 501c3 charitable organization in the United States. SIAA was founded with the noble vision of bringing together academics of Indian origin working in colleges, universities, and research institutions across the United States and Canada. Over the decades, SIAA has played a pivotal role in fostering academic collaboration between India and North America by organizing international conferences, webinars, lectures, and seminars. It has actively promoted research, facilitated knowledge exchange, supported students pursuing higher education, and worked tirelessly to preserve and propagate India's rich cultural and intellectual heritage. Through initiatives such as promoting Indian studies, encouraging scientific and technological knowledge transfer, supporting scholarships, and strengthening professional networks, SIAA continues to serve as a vital bridge between global academia and India's growing knowledge ecosystem.
This international conference stands as a testament to the shared vision of SIAA and Sri Balaji University Pune to create a global forum for meaningful dialogue and collaborative solutions to contemporary challenges.
As we embark on today's academic journey, we are confident that the deliberations, discussions, and insights shared during this conference will enrich our perspectives, inspire future research, and strengthen international academic partnerships. Once again, we extend a heartfelt welcome to all our distinguished speakers, delegates, and participants.
To start with today's inaugural session, let me first take up the opportunity to kindly introduce our esteemed members on the dais. We have with us Dr. G.K. Shirude Sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor, SBUP, Dr. Archana Srivastava Ma'am, Honorable Director, BIMM, Dr. Rashmi Mahajan Ma'am, Honorable Deputy Director, BIIB, Dr. Kishore Kulkarni Sir, President SIAA and Distinguished Professor of Economics, Metropolitan State University of Denver, US. Esteemed keynote speaker, Dr. Janine A. Davidson Ma'am, President, Metropolitan State University of Denver, US. I would now request Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, SBUP, Professor Dr. G.K. Shirude, to kindly welcome Dr. Kishore Kulkarni Sir, President, Metropolitan State University of Denver, US, by presenting a bouquet and stall.
I would request Honorable Vice Chancellor, SBUP, Professor Dr. G.K. Shirude sir, to kindly welcome Dr. Janine A. Davidson Ma'am, President, Metropolitan State University of Denver, US, by presenting a bouquet. To officially begin this significant event, we are honored to invite Dr. Rashmi Mahajan Ma'am, Deputy Director of BIIB, Sri Balaji University, Pune, to deliver the welcome speech.
Good morning, everybody. Today, I fondly remember our founder chancellor, Dr. A. Balasubramaniam, who we fondly call as Bala Sir. The chancellor of Sri Balaji University, Professor Anand. Vice Chancellor, Dr. G.K. Shirude Sir. Dr. Kishore Kulkarni Sir, who is the President of Society of Indian Academics in America, SIAA. Dr. Janine Davidson, President, Metropolitan State University of Denver, US. Dr. Archana Srivastava, ma'am. All the dignitaries who have come here across the globe, as well as India, and my dear fellow students. I welcome each one of you for this 2 days of international conference, which is a collaboration between SIAA and SBUP on the issues of Indian academic issues. These 2 days are going to be marked with a lot of discussions, keynote speakers, a lot of papers, tracks, and a lot of networking on these current burning issues. Let me take you through these 2 days. We'll start our conference with the keynote address by Dr. Janine Davidson, followed by a lot of discussions on the papers that we've received. We've received almost 50 papers, out of which 22 papers would be presented across these 2 days. There will be 3 tracks. The first track, the program coordinator of this track would be Dr. Kalyan Chakraborty, and the track chairs are Mr. Abhijit Manchankar and Dr. Manisha Paliwal. Track 2, the program coordinator is Dr. Rahul Wagmare, and the Track 3, which would be on the day 2, that is tomorrow, is again by Dr. Kalyan Chakraborty, and the track chairs would be Dr. Ashutosh Misal and Dr. Archana Srivastava. Let us hope that these 2 days would bring about a lot of brainstorming and discussions about the current issues of Indian academics. I also welcome the students to ask questions and take notes just to see where the future is about. Let us look at this conference as something that is to be learned for the future, and let us also take notes about what the future is in store for us as the future of the India. Thank you very much and welcome all the dignitaries.
Thank you, ma'am, for your warm and inspiring words.
Good morning, everybody. Since we are late, I will be as brief as possible. It gives me immense pride, pleasure, and very proud feeling also to welcome the president called as a chancellor, Dr. Janine Davidson, then Professor Dr. Kishore Kulkarni, a very close friend of mine, a year senior to me, and he is a distinguished professor of economics in the same university in United States. All research paper presenters, very senior people, and therefore this is a very unique international conference where lot of in-depth content and context will be settled, discussed, elaborated, and lot of learning will take place. My dear student managers, please remember that. It is you who will get a lot of points, lot of different dimensions related with Indian academic issues. Academics is related with the overall functioning of management also. See, Indian economy is known as a developing but mixed economy. But still, we are having two distinguished advantages. One, our demographic dividend, and largest, democracy. And if we take it positively, certainly the dream of our Prime Minister, that is, the India will become a developed in 2047, is not going to be difficult to achieve because it is in the hands of you young student managers. You are having a long span to contribute. Whenever I talk about the Indian academic issues, we have to start from a socio-economic, socio-cultural, socio-psycho, socio-political, and even from management point of view. Just briefly, I have gone through the titles of the research papers, those who are going to present here. So there are 21 plus participants are here and 25 plus topics which they have covered. And in nutshell, I will say, basically problem of unemployment in India, then planning in India, entrepreneurship, then sugar mills workers, Indian knowledge system also, NEP 2020, then the digital technology, then particularly Kishore is known for the policy which is declared related with the tariff and what are the effects of tariff as far as the Indian economic system is concerned. Then the lot of things related with ESG integration, then technology, reducing inequalities, and so on. Friends, since independence and particularly 1951 onwards, we have completed more than 10 plus 5-year plans and 7 annual plans. And if we go through in deep, the first 5-year plans, the objectives were more or less the same. And the same thing has been focused as far as today's academic issues are concerned. That is, population in India, unemployment, the education system, high rate of illiteracy, inequalities of income and wealth, regional imbalances, productivity, and though it is called as agro-based economy, but today, if we consider with the total number of the people employed and the total contribution made in gross national income, then it is not the agriculture. It is a service-oriented economy because more employment is there and more contribution is also there. But still, agriculture is the backbone of India. Considering the few statements related with this, the tagline of SAII, Madam, with your kind permission and Kishore, I will have few lines related with this. That is, Jnana Deva Tu Kaivalyam. This is the heart of the SIAA. Now, Jnana Devatu Kaivalyam, it means the Nahi Jnanena Sadrusham Pavitra Mahavidyate. It is the only knowledge which is going to be a superpower, which makes the human being more balanced as far as the development is concerned. Now, the AICTE, where India is having the today more approvals and everything, rather kept all the professional management, engineering, medical and all in a right track. Their tagline is Yogaha Karmasu Kaushalyam. It is the skill along with knowledge that matters more. And the tagline of Sri Balaji University of Pune is, this is the university for opportunities. And this opportunities is explored with the help of organizing this particular international conference. So once again, a very warm welcome. My special thanks to you accepting our invitation, Kishorji, and giving us an opportunity to host this particular renowned association contributing a large for the social well-being, social development, and at the same time for the human prosperity in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your insightful speech, sir.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, with great honor, I now welcome Professor Dr. Kishore Kulkarni Sir, President, SIAA and Distinguished Professor of Economics, Metropolitan State University of Denver, US, for his welcome address. It is his vision, commitment, and unwavering intent over the past years which have made this international conference a reality today.
Good morning. How are we doing? Are we doing okay? Very good, very good. Well, I'm very excited. Are you excited to start this program today? I know I am a Pune-born person. My birth was in Sassoon Hospital in Pune back in 1953. So I'm 72 now. But I left Pune in 1976. So this year I will make it 50 years in USA because before that I was just a young man sitting like you in some boring speeches and listening to and probably, well, we didn't have text that time, but I know you keep texting with your friends these days when you get bored. When we got bored, we just looked at each other and said, when the heck this is going to get over? So I don't want you to do any of that because I know we want to make this pretty exciting conference and we have already started with the right foot here. On behalf of Society of Indian Academicians in America, which essentially means anybody with an Indian name and Indian face who does research in India, on India, is welcome to be a member there, and then we support them many different ways. We carry on webinars every month, so all of you are invited to attend webinars by SIAA. Our website is siaaus.com, and if you go to siaaus.com, you will get information about when our next webinar is, and usually they are from all over the world, and we have had people talking about different subjects on them. So you're welcome to attend that. I also want to, on behalf of SIA, I also want to welcome all of you to this conference. And SIA is represented, besides me, by the Vice President, who is Ravindra Kulkarni, who is in the first row there. He's a professor, a retired professor there. And he's our vice president, and our treasurer Amitabh Datta is there too. He's from Florida, and I'm happy to see that at least there are 10 people coming from US for just for this conference, and they all have papers in the program. So take a look at that. So they have traveled all the way, and so your enthusiasm is always appreciated. Well, with that as a starting point, let me get back to the main business, because I know today's speaker, Janine Davidson, is not only a good friend of mine now, but she's my boss. So I don't want to say anything wrong that will get my job in danger. So all the praise that I'm going to talk to about her is completely 100% true. And I know Janine has been our president for last 8 years now, 9 years. She started in, but before 2016, she was the Undersecretary of Navy in US Navy. Now this is a lady, and that is a very high position. Now I know if you look at her, she looks very young, but her experience is very, very wide, because she has done the professorship, she has taught. Here is a little story about her, that she was interviewed by Air Force, and Air Force said that we don't allow women to fly our combat planes. She stops the interview and she said, okay, in that case, I will go to Navy. So she told the Air Force officer that I don't want to be talking to you if you don't allow me to fly the planes. Now she joins Navy, and she became the first woman to fly the plane from the Navy ship. And this was when she was very young, and I know she had a very big ambition, and then she actually made all that come, she did a good stint at Navy later on. I also know an incident that when she was interviewed as one of the candidates for president of our university, she was asked a question: what are your 3 priorities if you become a president? And her answer is all printed all over, so that's why I know it. But she said, my 3 priorities are students, students, students. And she has shown that as a true commitment to the students, to the university in general. Under her presidency in last 8 years, university has gone through several fluctuations, as you can imagine, with pandemic, the budget going away, 20% decline in the enrollment, and she has weathered all that storm with a very good attitude and a very friendly attitude about it. The most striking, and I will stop introducing her after this, but the most striking part of her character is that really gives me a lot of respect to her, is that she never panics. I have not seen her one time say, oh my God, what are we going to do? In fact, just yesterday she had to leave because she was sick, but she always had an optimism in her life, as well as when she handles the university, and her optimistic attitudes have created a very positive atmosphere in our university that I know firsthand. So please allow me and join me in welcoming Dr. Janine Davidson.
Wow, well, thank you. Thank you, Kishore. Good morning, everybody. You look absolutely fabulous. How many of you are students in this room? Excellent, excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here. And my thanks as well, in particular, to Professor Kishore Kulkarni. He is professor of economics at MSU Denver. and president, as you know, of SIAA. We are so very fortunate to have you on our faculty. I do say that my three priorities are students, 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 but nothing at our university happens without our faculty. And Kishore definitely leads the way. So thank you so much for your leadership and for your excellence and your friendship. And his wife Joyce, who is also an MSU Denver teacher for many years. It's been fabulous to be traveling with you here today. Thank you again. Together, really, both of them have touched many, many lives of students and fellow faculty members, and really helped make MSU Denver the special place that it really is. And I also want to say thank you to our host, SBUP, for bringing us all together with SIAA, and Vice Chancellor Shirude for your leadership and for being our precious host today. So thank you very much. This is our first time with my husband Dave, who's sitting in the front row, in India. And we're most impressed by the people. I mean, first of all, there's so many of you. And second of all, everyone that we meet is just amazingly kind and cheerful and optimistic. Kishore mentioned being optimistic, and this is what I see so much from the people that we've met here today. Such hospitality. So we're deeply grateful for that. We are deeply honored to be with you today. I'm very honored to be your speaker. Yes. Okay, thank you. You know, in political times like these, linkages across nations, especially among scholars, are more important than ever. You all are part of this global community, this global academic community whose work transcends the borders, even when politics do not. For that reason, what I want to begin by thanking all of you for being here today, for your engagement with SIAA, and for the relationships that you have built and maintained for so many years across our countries and our cultures. So this morning, what I'd like to do is spend a little bit of time reflecting on the dramatic changes happening in the United States today, and by examining a growing contrast. On the one hand, the deep, collegial, and productive India-US relationships built over decades across academia, business, science, and the arts. And on the other, the confusing array of fast-moving policy shifts coming out of Washington today, and at times, New Delhi. So what does all this divergence mean for us? What does it mean for academics today, for students in particular, into the future? So the lens that I bring to this particular set of questions comes from a professional background that is somewhat non-traditional for a university president. As Kishore mentioned, I spent the first few years of my career in national security. I served as a military pilot, flying cargo aircraft around the world. And then later, I served as a Pentagon official and ultimately as the Undersecretary of the Navy during the Obama administration. And that career was possible for one simple reason. The United States invested in me. I'm a product of America's higher education system, the public higher education system. I attended a public university on a military scholarship. Full tuition, books, and fees were paid for. After my military service, I earned my PhD at another public state university. And so I would not be standing here today if it were not for public investment in me. And I'm also a product of that system somewhat intellectually. I was taught to understand America's post-World War II role as one in which the U.S. helped construct a cooperative global order. Institutions like the United Nations, NATO, the World Bank, World Trade Organization, that system that was actively managed and underwritten by the U.S. economic and military power, through diplomacy, aid, and investment, contributed to lifting billions of people out of poverty and dramatically reducing violent conflict among major powers. That is what I was taught. And as a young Air Force pilot in the 1990s, it is largely what I experienced. Many of my missions involved humanitarian assistance, working with NGOs to deliver disaster aid and relief. In short, my understanding of the United States' role in the world was as a force for good. Of course, that's not the full story. While US has underwritten global stability in many places, our actions elsewhere have fallen short. Places like Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan are worthy of serious criticism. And that tension between our ideals and our outcomes, that has always been part of the American story. What feels different today is the depth of division. The United States is more polarized than at any time in my lifetime. We argue not only about policy, but about history itself, whether today resembles the Vietnam era of the 1960s or the Civil War era of the 1860s. Optimists point out that America's been deeply divided before and has come through it. But these debates matter enormously for how America understands its role in the world and for how allies and partners understand us. So to understand this shift, the national security strategy is a useful starting point. And since that's my background, I took a deep look at the national security strategy, which just came out this month. Every US president publishes a national security strategy to guide foreign and national security policy for their administration. In the coming weeks, the Pentagon will release its national defense strategy, which will further clarify how the military interprets these priorities coming from the White House. During my time in Washington, both at the Pentagon and at the Council of Foreign Relations, I helped craft some of these documents. And as an academic, I've studied them going back to the 1950s. And here's what we see. Since World War II, while each administration left its mark, the core assumptions about alliances and global engagement and America's role in the world were remarkably consistent. President Trump's most recent strategy is a sharp departure from tradition. Where previous strategies emphasized alliances, democracy, human rights, and liberal values, his approach is far from transactional and often disjointed. Trump's critics, and even some of his supporters, have noted that he frequently identifies real problems, but applies the wrong solutions. Yes, it is fair to argue that 75 years of US global engagement led at times to overreach, particularly in Iraq and Afghanistan. But the strategy largely ignores the immense value to the US and to others of that engagement. It overcorrects in ways that leave allies and partners baffled, from a revived Trump corollary to the Monroe Doctrine, to public scolding of our European allies, to limited attention on the Indo-Pacific realities. The strategy also contains striking internal contradictions. It proclaims American dominance in science and technology while slashing funding for the National Science Foundation and the National Institutes of Health. It celebrates US innovation and economic growth while criticizing immigration, the very engine of that success. It claims American soft power while actively undermining institutions like USAID that generate it. So as national security professional turned university president, I look at these shifts and I ask, what does that mean for the future of my students? What does that mean for higher education at this moment? What is mine to do? Traditional higher education is under attack in the US. People are frustrated with the rising costs, largely the result of public disinvestment, and increasingly question the very value of higher education. The Trump administration often frames universities as elite institutions disconnected from, quote, real America, much as it criticizes the national security elites. Domestically, this critique is deeply cultural. Higher education is portrayed as too far left, too, quote, woke, and insufficiently patriotic. But as with many critiques, there is some truth here. But before we throw the baby out with the bathwater, do people say that in India? Okay. We need to be clear about what is at stake. Today, approximately 270,000 Indian students are enrolled in U.S. universities. That is 27% of international students in the United States. And when Indian students say, they thrive. Indian immigrants participate in the U.S. labor force at higher rates than native-born Americans. In 2023, Indian immigrant households had a median income of $166,200, more than double the national median. 81% of Indian immigrants hold at least a bachelor's degree, nearly half hold advanced degrees beyond that. Indian nationals accounted for 72% of H-1B visas approved in FY 2023. India is the world's largest recipient of remittances from the United States, $119.5 billion in 2023, more than Mexico and China combined. And of course, Indian immigrants lead some of the most important institutions and companies in the United States. The CEOs, and in many cases, the founders of companies like Google, Microsoft, PepsiCo, Adobe, IBM, Sun Microsystems, and more. And the list of prominent Indian immigrants in the US in science and medicine academics across so many fields is simply immense. In short, Indians and Americans, India and America, both benefit from this relationship. This is why I'm concerned by recent data showing that nearly 50% drop in Indian students arriving in the US this year compared to the year before. Bureaucratic barriers are one thing, but decisions driven by headlines or by fear rather than reality are another. Student visa rules are changing, but there are lawsuits challenging these new rules, and there are still ways to come to the US. So what to know? It's possible that the new rules will require a 4-year limit, but that limit is extendable. It may take a little bit more paperwork. H-1B visas will be easier to get for international students graduating from a US institution, transitioning from a student visa to a work visa because it's considered a change in status, not a new application. So that won't require the $100,000 price tag that they're putting on that. The $100,000 cost for an H-1B visa will be something that the big companies can manage, but not so many of the small companies. But most importantly, what I really want everyone in this room to understand is that our university campuses across the United States and MSU Denver, for sure, do not reflect the chest-beating anti-immigrant rhetoric that dominates our politics today and dominates the headlines. Universities really do remain places of openness, curiosity, and collaboration. And I know that universities will do whatever they can to help prospective students navigate the changing policy landscape and rules. The doors are not shut. There are just a couple more hurdles. And that brings me to my final point. At moments when politics grow louder and more uncertain, relationships matter more, not less. Policies shift, rhetoric hardens, and headlines change quickly. But the human connections built through shared work, shared learning, and shared curiosity endure. While political leaders debate and policy pendulums swing, it is scholars, students, and institutions who provide continuity, trust, and memory. For decades, academia has been one of the strongest and most resilient bridges between India and the United States, quietly, persistently, and productively. Those connections have outlasted election cycles, geopolitical tensions, and moments of disagreement because they are grounded not in ideology, but in mutual respect and a commitment to knowledge. What we are doing here today and tomorrow is not peripheral to geopolitics. It's foundational to it. By continuing to teach, to research, to exchange ideas, and to collaborate across borders, we safeguard the long view. We model cooperation when it is the hardest, and we remind our governments and ourselves of what truly works. And when the politics eventually settle, as they usually do, it is these relationships that remain. Sustaining them is not simply worthwhile, it is essential work. So thank you all again for inviting me and my husband here to your country and to this conference. It has been my honor to be here and to meet every one of you. And thank you also for being here and doing the work. Thank you especially to the students in the room. I got a chance to speak to some of you, and my message to the faculty and to the administrators is that your future is very bright. Thank you.
Dr. Davidson will be happy to answer your questions if you have any. So just raise your hand and speak loudly because I cannot hear anything. She can. Yeah, so just raise your hand when you have a question.
People are shy.
Faculty can ask questions.
Or not. Yes, sir.
Thank you. So, what I was concerned was the cut in grants to a lot of universities in the US and the impact it has on research, particularly in the medical field, life-saving medications and all these things. They were doing a lot of clinical research. And unfortunately, they're not able to carry on the clinical research anymore on account of cuts in grants at Harvard and Stanford and all those places, different places. So I was very encouraged by what you said, that Denver and other places will not be so much perturbed, not fixated on those issues, but they'll somehow try to overcome. That's kind of optimism. I enjoy it. But how exactly do you want to do that?
Thank you for that. Well, I think about this in two ways. I'm deeply concerned about the cut in research funding. When I think about higher education in America, there's two parts to that. There's the teaching and the educating, and there's the researching, right? And in the post-World War II era, one of the things that America did that was very smart was they decided they weren't going to, well, they decided they wanted to be number one in science, right, and research. And they decided they would not just create government laboratories. What they would do was seed the institutions across the country with grants. And so that people would compete and they would be able to leverage the brilliance, if you will, of all the universities across the country. And so in America, a lot of people don't realize that. They think that it's sort of just handouts to these universities. But that's not what it was. It was a partnership between the government and the academic community. And it had amazing results. And it also provided the opportunities for academics that you can't really find in lots of other countries. And I do believe that's one of the things that has attracted advanced degree seeking academics to our country. So that is what's at stake. Yes, the funding is being cut dramatically. But I was reading about this the other day, and the National Science Foundation and the National Institutes of Health are the primary, I mean, there's lots of grants, but those are the big institutions that give out the most money. And what they were saying is they stopped them, they cut them all, and then they started feeding the money back. And so what we're seeing is fewer opportunities, but not completely decimated. And they're also changing how they're doing it. So if you were getting a grant before, maybe you got a 5-year grant and you could renew each year. Instead, they're giving it for 4 straight years and a little bit less. And so there's just different, the overall message is it hasn't completely stopped, but the rules are going to be different and the criteria. And in science, the emphasis. So a lot more emphasis on computer science, for instance, in some of those areas, and they'll be shifting those sorts of things. So it's not a great story. It's not a great story, and I worry that it is something that could really change the face of higher education in America. But it's not dead yet, sir. So.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
So yeah, we are all talking about artificial intelligence and its impact on labor force and the way we interact with each other. So how is the US academia responding to this, and what are the changes you envisage to take place in US academia to deal with this impact of AI on US education system?
Are you saying AI?
Yeah, artificial intelligence.
AI, artificial intelligence?
Yes.
Yes. Well, I would say at this moment, it's kind of like the Wild West for AI. I'll tell you how we're thinking about it at MSU Denver. The first thing we said was we will be a fast follower. We'll let Stanford make all the mistakes and MIT because they have all the money. And then we'll follow what they do and the lessons that they learn. But at a university, we have three sort of areas. The first area is our students. We want our students to be able to graduate and be AI ready or ready to operate in an AI world. And we recognize that that's a challenge because literally it changes every month what that means. One day they say all the entry-level jobs are going to be gone, and then the next day they say no. My personal belief is the so-called essential skills, the soft skills, become even more important in an AI-dominated world where people can use critical thinking and pattern recognition and interpersonal skills. So really thinking about all the ways that we can help our students be ready to operate in this world and get jobs. The second area is where we are actually an enterprise. I mean, we have to do payroll and human resources and all the things. And so how can we use AI like any other business would use AI to make our processes and systems better? Especially when it comes to how we serve our students. Can we find better ways to issue financial aid? Can we advise them in better ways? Can we have AI helping our administrators and our advisors help our students? And then the third way is the hardest way. And I think Kishore is going to have to come up with all these answers for this one. But it's about how we operate in the classroom. Because just as we had a big wave of people doing more and more online, now AI comes around and our professors are really struggling with how to ensure that students aren't just using AI, especially in an online environment. And so on the one hand, we want to teach students how to use AI. On the other hand, we don't want them to use AI. So how's that going to work? I bet the students have answers to this. I'm sure that they have answers to this. What you see in America right now is a lot more paper, essays in class writing, but all the ways in which we can figure out how to ensure that students are actually learning, but then also learning about AI. So I think that there's a lot to really struggle with. And I bet that if I were to come back here a year or two from now, the answer would be completely different. This is changing so quickly. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Bhavika Aswani from BIMM PMN HR. My question to you is which are the key domains of research where the strongest US Indian collaborations are going to happen, like according to you?
Well, I'm not an expert on that, but what I do see most of is in obviously the high tech areas and medical. I think that those are statistically the greatest, and I don't know that I would see that changing going forward. I think those are the strengths, medical science and technology.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Shrishti, and my question is how do you and SIAA view India's readiness to become a global education hub, especially in comparison with other countries like UK, US, and Australia, Canada, etc.
Can you say that again? How does what?
My question is how do you view India's readiness to become a global education hub, especially in comparison with other countries?
How do I view India's
readiness
to become an education hub?
Yes,
Well,
global education hub.
based on what I see here, I think there's quite there's quite potential, definitely. And I also think when these geopolitical turbulence that I talked about happens, then it kind of catalyzes other areas to be to sort of lift their game, if you will. But I also think that India has decades and decades of building on this foundation, and it just seems like there's so much opportunity, and also the global connectedness and the people in this room. Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am. Can I go ahead?
Yes.
Okay. My question is basically on geopolitics and security. Since you have a sound background being under secretary with the Navy and also your better half, I don't know which one of you is the better half, but your husband comes from a military background.
Yes.
So I just wanted to know, there's a shift in the strategic focus to the Indian Ocean region. The off late, and there's a lot of with a rising military power in India. I just wanted to know, in spite of all this, there is a lot of contradictions between US and Indian relationships, notwithstanding trade, education, and other things. How do you view this vis-a-vis? I don't want to make it political, but otherwise I think like America has always been supporting military based thing, your dictatorship kind of a thing, although we are two big democracies. How do you understand this contradiction?
The contradiction between?
In our perceptions, in our security perceptions.
Well, it's a very complex long-term question, but
okay. Very briefly, I know it's a very sensitive issue. You're free to answer whatever you feel.
Well, I think this is one of the reasons why people are waiting for the national defense strategy to come out. Hasn't come out yet, has it, David? Okay. So from my time in the Pentagon, which was a few years ago, about a decade ago, I will tell you that the people inside the Pentagon really did want to strengthen ties with India. And they have, from what I understand since I've left even, had more military to military ties. And just as I talked about the academic ties across nations, those military to military ties become really, really important. And so what I'm hearing from my colleagues is that there's still a shared sense of the geopolitical challenges in the region, and especially vis-a-vis China and what's happening. And so what I believe you'll see, hopefully, is those military ties will continue. And you're hearing that and seeing that. But I think when we see the National Defense Strategy come out, that will make a big difference. But I'll say, and you know, India has a great multi-decades tradition of non-alignment, and you know, they are very independent, and America respects that. But I was in the Pentagon when we did the so-called pivot to Asia, and a big part of that was to try to enhance our relationship with India. And we even renamed the combatant command from the Pacific Command to the Indo-Pacific Command. And that was a real that was pointed, obviously. And so, you know, I am an optimist. So, and I do think that I think we'll see how that goes. Yep.
Good morning, madam. It was a very enlightening presentation backed by statistical data. Now, in the era of NEP 2020, that is the National Education Policy 2020, India has opened doors for foreign universities, and many of them are welcome in the Indian economy that will enrich the ties at international level. So, I was just thinking, is there any possibility of the Metropolitan State University, as you being the president, opening a campus in India and specifically in Pune? Thank you.
Wow. Well, I don't know. Hadn't thought about that. We'll have to talk about that, Kishore. Yes. Yes. Okay. Anybody else?
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
So my question is, according to your experience in international academics, how can Indian researcher ensure that their work on Indian academic issue gains global relevance and visibility without losing its local context?
Without losing its local context?
Yes.
Why would you think you would have to lose your local context to have it?
For visibility and global relevance.
Well, don't you think that India is globally relevant?
Being too.
I think that if you're doing, which you will be, doing rigorous academic work, that is one of the things that sort of transcends those boundaries. And I think you see that in this community, these academics and professionals on this front row here. That's how they've basically lived their professional career. Am I right? You do good work, you collaborate with others, especially if you collaborate internationally, and your work will speak for itself.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello. This side.
Hello.
Good morning, ma'am. So my question to you is, in your opinion, what are the major skill gaps that you find among Indian students when they enter into global academic, and how could this be managed there?
What are the major what?
Yeah, major skill gaps you observe among Indian students when they actually enter into global academic area.
I don't know if I could target certain skill gaps by Indian students, right? I could say that generationally, the students that we have at our university and that academics in America are talking about in general, we really want to make sure that students have more interpersonal skills, that they have the ability to work in groups and those sort of soft skills. We see a little bit of need to, maybe it's too much cell phone use, I don't know, but we see a little bit of a need for that. So I don't know about you, Kishore, but when I teach, I like to give students group assignments on purpose, because you have to work with people that you don't know, and that's how the real world is when you get into business. So I think that's really, really important. Sure. And it goes to the rest of the world too, because it's not always the science and math that we're getting wrong.
Hello.
It's the politics and the people, right? We don't argue about how to blow things up. We know how to do that. We argue about how to end the wars. So those sort of skills, I think, are really critical for the planet, actually, not just for your career.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Priya Singh, specializing in PM and HR. My question is to you: what strategic priorities is SIAA focusing in on next 5 or 10 years?
Kishore, that's for you. Come on up. Yeah.
Well, thank you for a question on SIAA. I will be happy to answer it. Actually, my colleagues are sitting here. We are taking notes. In next 5 years, SIAA would love to finance some academic research from US based Indian professors in terms of the money, in terms of resources, in terms of help in coming to India and do research here. We have a good financial base, and we can afford to do several projects. But we always turn different ideas what to do in the future. In 5 years, I hope I'm still the president in 5 years, but maybe they will kick me out next year, and then whatever I say doesn't matter. But then in 5 years, we do have several plans to have, number one, increase in the membership. Number two, attracting more young Indian scientists in the US to do India-related projects.
Do you
Thank
have
you, sir.
answer to the other question about which fields are the most popular for research?
For research. Well,
I said medicine and tech.
I think Janine is repeating the question: which fields for Indian students are more popular in the US? And without doubt, number one is AI. If you are an expert in AI, there is a good future for you in next 5 to 10 years for sure, if not longer, depending upon how AI goes into the play. But of course, engineering is always there. We call them STEM: science, technology, and what is it? STEM. Mathematics, and yeah, engineering and mathematics. Clearly, those are very good areas for you to focus on. US is always looking for those. Now, in my opinion, just to continue with her argument, the Trump policies of stopping outside students coming into US will go away in 2 years when Trump goes away too from the presidency of US, because I know the new president will probably just completely revert all the policies and then welcome the students one more time, because I know she quoted the statistics: 30% decline in students from India coming to US. That's a very big decline, because we have been increasing that number of students for very long time. When I left India 50 years ago, there were no more than 1,000 students who went from India to US. So clearly the picture is going to change, and I have full confidence in that, because this is unsustainable policies of stopping the outside talents coming to US, because it is a loss of US. Means, obviously, you bright minds come to US, US benefits by that, and therefore sooner or later administrators will realize that they want to revert those policies, and they will be reverted.
But they haven't really shut down.
No,
they haven't. The doors haven't been shut. They're just more hurdles, and their rationale is about security. So they want to make sure that they're not, I don't know, letting bad people into the United States. So you're not bad people. You're fine.
Yeah.
But what I would say is also the universities themselves, whatever the process is, they will help the students figure it out, right? So we have an immigration services office, and the whole idea is to stay up on all the rules and regulations and help people navigate what can sometimes be a complex bureaucratic thing, even in the best of times.
Yeah, I think they get more powers, and the powers means sometimes they are abused too. And then well, they do have powers to scrutinize you now. So don't put anything on your Facebook which will be hurtful for your entry to
Students don't use
US.
Facebook, Kishore.
Oh, not Facebook. What the heck is
I
there?
don't know these other things.
But in any case, they will check your social post, and that's a new thing that government has allowed immigration officers to do. So you have to be a little careful. But I don't think anybody in this hall will be stopped from coming to US if you apply, get the scholarship and all that. Visa will be automatic.
All right.
Good morning, ma'am.
Apologies for the interruption, but due to the paucity of time, this will be our last question.
Okay.
We'll have a last question.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Aditi Dhimole. I'm a student of BIMM doing specialization in PM and HRD. So my question is, what data limitations make serious academic research on modern financial markets difficult?
What kind of
Can you say that again?
What data limitations make serious academic research on modern financial markets difficult?
Well, there are none. I don't think there are any restrictions on any research in US. You are free to do any research. I'm free to. She doesn't tell me anything about what kind of research
You
I
wouldn't
should
listen
do.
to me.
No, no, probably I would not listen to her either. But yeah, there is a freedom of doing all kinds of research in US. To answer your question, there are just no limitations for your research.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your invaluable insights and motivation. I now request Student Manager Sabhyata Jain to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Harshvardhan. I, Sabhyata Jain from Balaji Institute of Management and Human Resource Development, would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Jenny A. Davidson for gracing us with her presence. Your words have been a source of great inspiration for us today. Thank you for sharing your valuable time, insights, and wisdom with us. We are grateful for the knowledge you have imparted and the motivation you have sparked among all of us here. Once again, thank you, Dr. Davidson, for an enlightening and memorable session.
This brings us to the close of this inaugural session. We do so with a sense of inspiration, clarity, and renewed purpose. The insightful addresses and thoughtful perspectives shared today have a set of strong intellectual foundations for the deliberations that will follow. I would now request Honorable Vice Chancellor SBUP Professor Dr. G.K. Shirude Sir to kindly present a memento to Dr. Kishore Kulkarni Sir as a token of appreciation.
I would now request Dr. Archana Srivastav ma'am, BIMM Director, to kindly present a memento to Dr. Janine A. Davidson ma'am as a token of her appreciation. Can everyone please stand up? Everyone, please settle down. Yes, yes. Yes. I now kindly request our honorable guest and all participants to proceed for tea and snacks, which are being served at the Chinar Hall, Building B, ground floor.